Does our commander-in-chief want a police state? There are a lot of people who think he does. There are a lot of people that think he would like to be something more of a dictator, and he has shown his willingness to take out his pen and use his executive orders, circumvent the elected process of using the House of Representatives and the Senate for their constitutional duties. But I digress. As I've watched this Ebola crisis unfold, I keep asking myself, what could possibly possess this president to not put a travel ban on West Africa? All right, we know the 3 nations where Ebola is coming from. We know that there are tens of thousands of people there right now that are infected. We know that the World Health Organization and the CDC are saying that by the beginning of the coming year, in January, February, there's going to be well over 1 million people with it in those 3 countries. Tens of thousands will be contracting it daily, okay? And they won't put a travel ban. And I said to myself, why? This doesn't make any sense. Well, we've got great screening processes. That's a joke. In the nations where they're coming from and when they land here. So for $19 an hour, they were running an ad saying you can swipe a thermometer over people that are coming from the west coast of Africa. You want that job for $19 an hour? But again, I digress. Why would they do that? Any 4th grader, 5th grader can do the math, okay? Somebody can be infected with Ebola for up to 21 days before they become symptomatic. All right? So the only way that their screening is going to work is if the person is symptomatic. All right? We have 150 people a day entering the United States from Liberia, from New Guinea, from Sierra Leone. They're coming here, okay? Right now, every day, from the west coast of Africa. 150 people a day. And so they get the little swab. Oh, you're not sick, you don't have Ebola. How would you know? If they're not symptomatic, how would you possibly know? Mathematically, it is a mathematic impossibility that the 150 people coming into this country every day would be found if they were infected. It's a mathematic impossibility because they've got a 21-day window where they could be infected and not be symptomatic. And conversely, it's a mathematical probability that there's people coming into the country right now from the west coast of Africa who are infected. And they're going to become symptomatic after they get here. Okay? So why would Obama do this? And you might say politics, you know, if he closes that border, then he opens himself up to the criticism of, well, why aren't you closing the Mexican border? Because this other virus is coming in through Mexico, which has claimed the lives of 4 or 5 American children so far. All right, that's not getting the press coverage that Ebola is, but it's a health crisis. There's children in over 40 states right now that have that virus. So I'm thinking, well, maybe Obama doesn't want to close the border in West Africa because he'll take too much heat for not closing the border properly, defending the border properly along Mexico, or the fact that he's about to do some sweeping dictatorial immigration change after the election. But then I thought something a little darker. What if he really wanted a police state? What if he really wanted to have some level of martial law? Take it out for a test drive in certain areas, like they did in Boston after the terrorist brothers did the bombing there, right? They had blocks of the area where it was a virtual police state descended upon them and people's rights were trampled before their eyes. What if Obama wanted to take that out for a test drive on a little bit larger scale? Wouldn't Ebola present him with that opportunity? And then I read, the Pentagon is now getting involved. The Pentagon is using 30 of their medical professionals in uniform to be ready to be an immediately dispersed team to anywhere in the country, using the military in America to fight Ebola. That's just a half a step away of using the military to quarantine Ebola in America, which means boots on the ground, not to fight ISIS, but in the streets of American cities to go after you and I. Just a thought. I'll be right back.